Okay, so just having a bit more think about this comparison process in our game. We've obviously got the possibility that the data is going to come down. We're going to do our test. There's going to be some if in here. We're going to do some form of test, and if the result of the test is true, we're going to go off and execute some other bit of code, whatever that is. And if the test was false, then we just continue and our code continues and executes some more code. So that's the most basic if statement that we could get. Okay, the next iteration then is it's kind of the same if statement, and again we're going to do some condition or some form of test. This time when we do the test, if it's true, we'll go off and do some block of code. If it's false, so otherwise or else, we'll go and do a different block of code, and then the two options come back together and continue from there. So now if it's true we can do one thing, or if it's false, the else command, we can do something else. So that's the second way we can use the if statements. Okay, so how's that going to help us? Well, let's think about our number guessing game. We're going to have a couple of variables. We're going to have num, which is our random number, and we're going to have answer, which is what the user types in. So think about our basic if. So I can say if num equals answer. So that's going to do the test to see if what the user types in. The answer is the same as a random number. So it's going to be in some form of if statement. And if it's true, so true, then obviously what we want to do is to print correct. And if it wasn't true, then it'll come out the bottom, and we now need to do another test. So we're going to say if the answer is less than the number, and if that's true, what we're going to do, we're obviously going to say that it's too small, and if that didn't work, we now need to do another test, which is if the answer is bigger than the number. What we're going to do here now, so if that's true, we're obviously going to say too big, and carry on. Okay, so whilst that would work, it's not particularly efficient, because even if up here we find they're the same and we print correct, we still go on and we do these further tests even though they're not necessary, because up here we knew that we got the right answer. So if this is true, then obviously both of these will be false. So it's not a particularly efficient way of doing this. We're just constantly asking this, the question even when we know that this must be false if it's already been correctly identified. So we need to really improve on this for good programming. So again, we've got our two variables. We've got our number, what the computer generated, and we've got the answer. So when we now do the if statement, we say if, we'll do the answer first. So if the answer is the user's number, if this is true, then we'll go off here and we'll say correct. If it's not true, we've got the concept of an else. So it goes off this way if the answer is false. So else is kind of saying it's false. Now what do we do down here? Now down here we can test to see if it's too small. So if answer is less than the number, so if this is true, now we can say it's too small. And otherwise, so again we've got the concept of an else down here. So think about what's going to happen or how we would get down here. So if it wasn't the same, we'd come this way. If it wasn't less than, we'd come this way. So our only option really, having come down here, is it must be too big. and then all of these now come back together and our code continues. So we've now found a much more efficient way to code this by basically doing the test first of all. If it's true, print correct and come out. If it's false, we've got an else statement, which then takes me to another comparison. If it's less than, we print too small and we exit. The only option if we end up coming down here is it must be too big. We don't need a further test, so we can just print too big, hopefully spelt right, and we can exit from our code there. So that's a much more efficient way and a better way to use the if statements.